In the last episode, we visited the Great Pyramid of Giza, Red Pyramid, Pyramid of Djoser. We tried a camel ride, visited the Museum of Egyptian Civilization, explored downtown Cairo, ancient capital of Memphis, made a bunch of friends. And lastly, we boarded the train to Aswan. Train number 86 departs Cairo at 7:45 p.m. and arrives in Aswan at 9:25 a.m. the next day. The distance to our destination is 680 kilometers. The train route follows the Nile River, offering scenic views of the landscape. We booked tickets through Ernst Watania sleeping trains with dinner and breakfast. And it was not bad at all. It's time. We arrived into Aswan and set off to find our tour guides. On this trip, we are about to explore some pretty famous world wonders. On the way to our boat, we get a little sneak peek of the streets of Aswan, but unfortunately, we won't have much time to explore the city. As soon as we boarded the boat, our adventure on the River Nile began. Our boat is called the Nile Story. The interior of the boat was luxurious, and the staircase in the middle was just like that of the Titanic. We were surprised at how big our room was because you wouldn't tell it was actually on a boat. But there is no time to waste, and we go straight to our first trip to see the High Dam and Philae Temple. Our delegate Talat was very energetic and knowledgeable. Every day we learned so much about Egyptian history and lots of interesting myths and stories. First stop was on the Aswan High Dam, rock-filled dam across the Nile River at a cost of about $1 billion. For the first time in history, the annual Nile flood is under human control, and also it generates enormous amounts of hydroelectric power. Just a little downstream of the Aswan Dam and Lake Nasser, we went to visit the Philae Temple. The temple now stands on the little island called Agilkia, and it's reachable only by boat. But this is not the place where the temple was originally built. When the Aswan Low Dam was completed in 1902, the structure plugged up the Nile and created an artificial body of water, Lake Nasser. This ultimately flooded Philae Temple from December to March, with only its top peaking above the water. The temple's brightly painted colors were lost forever. But luckily, a joint project between UNESCO and the Egyptian government rescued Philae from the Nile's waters. The fascinating project occurred between 1972 and 1980, and Philae Temple was relocated brick by brick to its current home on Agilkia Island. The temple was primarily dedicated to the goddess Isis, but her husband Osiris and her son Horus were also worshipped there. Construction began around 690 BC. All history lovers can examine the detailed temple walls containing reliefs of Isis mythology, including Isis bringing Osiris back to life, giving birth to Horus, and mummifying Osiris after his death. This place was quite special, and we all enjoyed our visit. Back on the boat, we were greeted by a great buffet dinner with so many food variations. We didn't know what to try first, and it was so easy to get tempted by it all. After dinner, we were finally able to settle down and spend some time exploring our new home and its surroundings. After seeing these children in the water, we wondered if there were crocodiles in the water too. And in fact, when the High Dam was built, the crocodiles moved elsewhere because it changed the entire surrounding ecosystem. Anyway, it was pretty cool to watch the sunset from the roof. And that was our day one. The next morning, we had to be ready at 4 a.m. Our guide quickly called us all to make sure we were all awake. I won't lie, it was rough. Now hurry, get some quick breakfast and get on the bus. Today, we are heading on to 280 kilometers long journey to Abu Simbel. It took around 5 hours by bus to get there, but you can enjoy the view and have some sleep. Abu Simbel is one of the most iconic and awe-inspiring archaeological sites in Egypt. The temples were built by Pharaoh Ramses II between 1264 and 1244 BCE to demonstrate his divine power and legacy. The Great Temple features four 66-foot tall statues of Ramses II seated on his throne dedicated to Ramses II himself and the gods Amun, Ra-Horakhti, and Ptah. The small temple is dedicated to his queen Nefertari and the goddess Hathor. Between 1964 and 1968 was Abu Simbel relocated to higher ground to avoid submersion from the rising waters of Lake Nasser. So it was the same situation to the Philae Temple, caused by the construction of the Aswan High Dam. The temples were cut into blocks, some weighing 30 tons, and reassembled 65 meters higher and 200 meters back from the original site. And yes, you can't leave any site without going through a market. We are leaving Abu Simbel and rushing back to our boat as our boat is leaving Aswan tonight. Our next stop is Kom Ombo Temple, approximately 50 kilometers far away. We are going to arrive there in the evening, so we are having dinner first, and then we will visit Kom Ombo during sunset. After dinner, we enjoyed traditional Egyptian Tanura dance and also a belly dance. We are getting closer, and we can already see the temple from the boat. We really appreciate an evening visit because it can get really hot during a day. Kom Ombo is a unique temple because it is a double temple that honors two gods equally. First god is Sobek, the crocodile god of fertility and the Nile, and second god is Horus, sky god with a falcon's head. There are two entrances, two courts, two halls, and two sanctuaries where each side is dedicated for one of the gods. Most of the temple was constructed during the Ptolemaic dynasty between 180 to 47 BCE and later finished under Roman rule. One of its walls displays ancient surgical instruments, including scalpels, forceps, and dental tools, which is clear evidence of advanced Egyptian medical knowledge. There's also a museum housing mummified crocodiles nearby, paying homage to Sobek. After a long day, we are back on the boat and sailing to the Temple of Edfu, 65 kilometers away, where we will wake up in the morning. It's day 3. Wake-up call at 5 a.m. A quick breakfast, and we set off to the Temple of Edfu. We were given the option of taking a van or using a horse-drawn carriage, but given the very poor conditions in which the horses live, we chose the van to stop supporting this cruel behavior. We arrived around 6 a.m. and temple was already packed with tourists. The Temple of Edfu is one of the best preserved ancient temples in Egypt and is dedicated to Horus, the falcon-headed god of the sky, war, and protection. The temple was built between 237 and 57 BCE during the Ptolemaic period. The walls are covered with detailed inscriptions about religious rituals, temple construction, festivals, and mythological stories. After centuries of abandonment, the temple was buried under desert sand and Nile silt, with only parts of the pylons visible. It was then excavated in the 19th century by French archaeologist Auguste Mariette. On the way back, we saw a lot of horses suffering in these poor conditions, and it was really heartbreaking. Immediately after our return, our boat set sail again, and this time we headed to our final destination, Luxor. Luxor is 110 kilometers far away from Edfu, and if you travel by boat, you need to cross Dam of Loch. Dam of Loch is an essentially water elevator that is raising and lowering boats, ships, and other watercraft between different levels of water on the Nile River. After almost a full day of sailing, we are arriving into Luxor, and immediately upon arrival, we will visit the Luxor Temple. Besides its ancient temples and Christian churches, Luxor is home to Islamic mosques and shrines, showing that the city has been a sacred place for thousands of years. Luxor Temple isn't dedicated to a specific god or pharaoh, but to the concept of kingship itself. It was where pharaohs were believed to be spiritually reborn and legitimized. The entrance features giant seated statues of Ramesses II, which were intended to both impress and intimidate visitors. Luxor Temple was built by two of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, Amenhotep III and Ramesses II, between 1390 and 1213 BCE. We are back on the boat to spend our last evening and night in here. We had to walk through all the boats parked next to each other to get to our boat, and so we could see the interior of the others. Last night was great. Even our guide joined us. It's day 4. Wake up at 5. Take away breakfast box and check out from the boat at 5:30. Today we start with a sunrise hot air balloon ride. We must cross the Nile to reach the west bank of the river, where the land of the dead lies. Luxor is famous for its early morning hot air balloon rides, offering breathtaking views over the Nile, temples, and the desert landscape. And it's considered one of the best ballooning spots in the world. All right, here we go. What a crazy morning. Now we are really high up and have a view of the Valley of the Queens, the Valley of the Kings, and in a moment we will be able to see the Temple of Hatshepsut. We are happily landing down and heading to visit all those places. First stop is Hatshepsut Temple. Hatshepsut was one of the very few female pharaohs of ancient Egypt. She ruled for around 22 years, from 1479 to 1458 BCE, and she portrayed herself as a king, even wearing a false beard in statues. Polish and Egyptian archaeologists spent decades restoring the temple. Much of what visitors see today is the result of careful reconstruction based on original blocks and fragments. The temple once had terraced gardens with exotic plants, incense trees and pools, making it one of the world's earliest botanical gardens. It sits dramatically against the sheer limestone cliffs on the west bank of the Nile, facing the rising sun. Next stop is Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings was burial place and royal necropolis for the pharaohs and powerful nobles of the New Kingdom for 500 years. At least 63 tombs have been discovered so far. Although called the Valley of the Kings, some tombs belonged to queens, high priests, and even royal children. Unlike the pyramids, these tombs were hidden in the cliffs to prevent grave robbing. Ironically, most tombs were still robbed in antiquity. Today, tombs are threatened by moisture, human breath, and tourism-related damage, causing murals and carvings to fade. Some tombs are closed periodically for preservation or replaced with exact 3D replicas for visitors. We depart for the last stop of our trip, and along the way we can see the Colossi of Memnon, two massive stone statues of Pharaoh Amenhotep III. Just north of the city lies Karnak, a temple complex dedicated to the god Amun-Ra. The Karnak Temple complex is the biggest ancient religious site in the world, covering over 200 acres, about twice the size of Vatican City. This ceremonial road, lined with hundreds of ram-headed Sphinx statues, called the Avenue of Sphinx, connected Karnak Temple to Luxor Temple, about 2.7 kilometers away. Almost every significant pharaoh of the New Kingdom added chapels, pylons, statues or obelisks to Karnak, making it an ongoing royal building project. It was built and expanded by more than 30 pharaohs over 2,000 years. The tallest surviving ancient Egyptian obelisk, 28.5 meters high, stands in Karnak. The famous Great Hypostyle Hall contains 134 massive stone columns arranged in 16 rows. Some columns reach a height of 24 meters and are so wide that 10 men holding hands can't encircle one. There are still unexplored rooms, hidden inscriptions, and unfinished sections in Karnak, suggesting that its secrets are not yet fully revealed, even after centuries of study. And that's it. That was our 4-day Nile River trip. Now we get to check in into a nearby hotel to get some rest. And tomorrow, our trip continues to Hurghada, where we will enjoy some fun time and the Red Sea. But we will see this in the next episode.